Hey everybody, it's Pat Jones here with another Turf Zoom brought to you by our friends at Aquatrols. And I'm extremely happy to be joined here today by my friend, the Honorable President of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America, Mark Jordan. Mark, how are you?
Thanks, Pat. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Lot going on in our world today, but as they say, it couldn't be better, right? So I'm very in a good spot right now.
I'm glad to hear that, because it had to have been a kind of a different presidential year for you. So by way of disclosure, you're a fellow Ohioan. Your course is just down the street from me an hour. And we get to see each other periodically, and you've been, part of the family here in the Ohio turf business for a long time. But then you moved up through the board over the last 7 years, and now you're president. But there was a pandemic, so obviously it wasn't kind of probably what you had in mind. But maybe what are some of the things that turned out differently or even better because of the change that we've all gone through?
So it's interesting, Pat. Just a quick look back to 2020. 365 days ago, right, in the state of our world and the amount of uncertainty, and some of that's obviously carrying over today. So there's still some uncertainty, but we have breakthroughs, we have opportunities, right, to look at, providing, our members, whether it be members at Westfield or members of GCSAA, opportunities to get out and reflect, refresh the mental, physical aspect of the whole pandemic, if you will, and what it's done for the golf industry and getting out in record rounds. We had record rounds at Westfield last year. And so, when we talk about the silver lining, I think that's been a boon for the golf industry.
Yeah, it really has. And, I think it's a bubble. I hesitate to use the word boom because last time we had a boom, it didn't turn out well. but I really do think this is great. And I think that maybe your club is probably a good example of those that are going to sort of benefit from more work at home. That you've got a membership that loves to play golf, and all of a sudden maybe they have some more flexibility in their schedule. So I think that's going to be the big win for everybody and for all members of GCSAA. Well, we wish you the best on the rest of your presidential term, and I hope you get to go someplace soon. Are you going to be able to go to BIGA or any of those things yet, or has that been determined?
So that's TBD determined, Pat.
Okay.
We've got some opportunities. Quite frankly, we have our summer board meeting is scheduled to take place at Westfield in the middle of July. So we're looking forward to hosting at Westfield, and we've been able to, Pat, as a board get out to some regional events, right, to do more outreach locally, and that's been a focus of ours since we haven't been able to have the impact that we usually have. So,
well, when you guys have that summer board meeting at Westfield, I'll come down and I'll answer all your questions. I'll take care of all all of your needs.
That's awesome. Yeah.
No, you don't like that. So something that's near and dear to both of our hearts is National Golf Day. And this has been something that's been going and growing for a number of years. And you and I, as Ohioans, spent some time together lobbying, or at least chatting with some of our elected representatives, and it was a great experience. But this year it's going to be different. It's going to be virtual. Tell us how that's going to work this year.
Yeah, so the virtual events that we have is really a 3-day event, and we have the first day is basically just a general session, a couple hours general session, and then the second day will be more focused on the industry and meetings with legislators. We have a VIP meeting with Senator Capito from West Virginia on Tuesday afternoon, and then Wednesday we will have our legislative days where we go around and talk to our legislators. So a lot packed in, at least the last 2 days there.
How many superintendents are participating this year? Is it still a good turnout?
We're satisfied with what we have, and we'll still. I'm assuming, I haven't seen the facts yet, but I'm assuming we'll have the highest percentage of representation in the industry at National Golf Day. So I think, Pat, having said that, a lot of I'll say, are kind of going through the virtual fatigue, if you will. And, we want to shake hands, we want to look each other in the eye and want to be able to have that, personal connection, one-on-one.
Right.
So we are looking forward to that, but with the virtual National Golf Day, we're looking to make the best that we can make of it.
And what are the key issues that the industry's focused on this year as we virtually talk to decision makers?
Yeah, so best management practices, that first and foremost, and the fact that GCSAA and our members take pride in being environmental stewards, right? And I think it was very important for GCSAA and our members to complete the 50 by 2020, right? So all 50 states now have best management practices.
Mm-hmm.
It's transcending down to facilities. So we have some target goals for facility BMP implementation, but I think that's the key message for us, that we are the environmental stewards and we have these the best management practices for our environmental stewardship. Number two is the labor issue. Once again, the amount of H2Bs, this year was cut back to what I think 33,000 or something like that, and
yeah.
The norm is 66, but the overall applications received this year, I guess, were almost 100,000, right? So when you look at the amount of labor that's left, quote unquote, left on the table, right, that we're not able to incorporate with our industry as well as other ag industries, is really hurting us, I think, as an industry. So that'll be the second message. And the third message, this may be a little bit of a surprise, is the FIT Act, which promotes healthy, active lifestyles. And
Mm-hmm.
Really it's a medical care deduct for recreation.
Right.
So, camps, leagues, league fees, shoes, clubs, all the equipment, et cetera, can be itemized and written off, I guess up to 1,000 if you're individual, or 2,000 for married to deduct from your medical care. So,
Right.
so we're focusing on that. I think coming off of COVID, or transitioning off of COVID, that element of physical and mental well-being, right? That golf served. I think this message that we can deliver should resonate a little differently to some, right? Because
you have such a great story to tell this year. I really think you
absolutely.
do it. Between the BMPs and just then the positives about golf through the pandemic that I can't imagine any legislator wouldn't see. So yeah, I'm excited, and I think it's too bad you can't be there doing it face to face, but I think you'll be back again next year. It's really comes down though to what every superintendent can do to tell that story, and BMPs are definitely part of that. But when you talk to superintendents that aren't going to be at National Golf Day, but maybe every once in a while they might have a legislator at their course, or they might bump into somebody who's an influencer at an event. What do you tell them to say to those people? How can a superintendent tell that story to somebody?
I think the biggest story to tell is the environmental, the whether it's water conservation, whether it's pesticide reduction, whether it's fertilizer reduction, pollinator habitats, what we do for the environment. It's all good, Pat, that. And I think that's the story that we need to tell. And we need to be able to say it with pride, right? Not apologize for it, but we are the leaders in environmental stewardship for the game of golf. So I guess that would be.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, every superintendent should have that almost a little card in their pocket that said, golf courses create oxygen, golf courses are buffer zones, golf courses are home to wildlife, and just those 5 or 6 key messages that are so important that will change people's minds. So I know that we all will try to do that, but let's encourage everybody else to do it. So, but in the meantime, between the pandemic and reconstructing your golf course, which you finished up last year with the help of the Herdzan folks, and then hosting events. So you've had 2 or 3 big events this year. Things are pretty busy there at Westfield Country Club. So tell us what you're focused on as a golf course superintendent when you're not busy running the leadership of the GCSAA.
So yeah, very busy year for us, and Pat, we've got a great team here at Westfield. We really do, and We've gone through some transitional organizational changes as well, tried to change our model up a little bit as far as oversight and responsibility for 36 holes. And for me, it all starts with team, right? And so I got a great group of leaders. Kyle Smith is a superintendent over all 36 holes, and Bill Thomas, who's been at Westfield for many years, and Todd Underwood, who's been at Westfield for many years, are two of our assistants. And we've recently promoted a young man by the name of Drew Reed as a third assistant. So we take a little different look at managing the golf courses. And so with that, to your point of the events that we have. So we have in June, and this all happens within a pretty tight window in June, starting, I think it's the 20th or 21st of June. We're hosting the U.S. Women's Amateur Qualifier here at Westfield, and we're very proud. First time we've hosted that, very proud to host that event. And then next on the docket is the Westfield Bridgestone Pro-Am that we partner with Bridgestone on, and we host, I think we have 9 to 10 of the Legends pros over here at Westfield in working a Pro-Am for us. And then immediately following that is the 100th Ohio Open. And so we're really looking forward to that. I say that now, looking forward to it, right? I think once we get beyond that, glad that's over. But those three events, and it's key for Westfield. I mean, we're here for Westfield. Shameful plug here, right? Westfield Insurance, and that's our reason for being, right? We're hosting and we're entertaining for the company here. And so
there's nothing bad in shameless self-promotion, Mark. We're okay with that here. So the other thing that you enjoy is the continuing presence of John Spodnik, who succeeded you as a president. It's very unusual to have two presidents that sort of have worked together as superintendents over the years. How's John doing, and what advice has he been giving you during your presidential year?
So John's doing very well. I had the opportunity to visit him. I guess it's been 2 weeks now. And first time I'd seen him in probably a year and a half with COVID and the restrictions. He's at a retirement home now, but he and his wife Mary are doing very good. We talked about the old times, and Pat, and you've seen this before. You've experienced it where I've had so much opportunity to talk with John, and it's like, we need to capture these conversations, right? They're golden. They're historical for Westfield, for the industry, et cetera, et cetera. And so I've had the opportunities, matter of fact, with Brian Laurent a couple of years ago, just to interview John, in his time at Westfield and GCSAA. But each time I talk with John, I find myself getting my phone out and I say, hey, hold that thought. Let me get that on video here. And did a couple of that during my visits with him. But he's doing well. And, his advice for me is just, hey, stay to it. They're going to be tough times, but they're going to be good times too. And just keep that balance. Don't get excited on one end or the other. And quite frankly, Pat, that was when I came into Westfield, that was one of the biggest things I learned from John, was that balance, that even keel, and enjoy the good times and learn from the bad times.
Yeah, exactly. And you're a person of faith, and I think that's important to have that sense of balance, and a sense of there's something bigger going on that we all need to pay attention to. That's wonderful. So the Aquatrols folks, I think have been part of the golf industry now for 65 years. And a lot of times I'll put somebody on the spot and say, hey, how about those products? But with you, I just want to ask you, how important is it to the association to have a partner like Aquatrols for 7 decades? They've been there, they've been supporters, helped with education and stuff like that. How important is it to have companies like that really contribute to the association at macro and micro levels?
Yeah, so those relationships are so important. Those long-standing relationships are so important, Pat, because as we evolve as an industry, as a superintendent, those partners are evolving too, right? They're improving their products. They're improving the superintendent knowledge, and the superintendents are reaching out to them in supporting, the whole support of the industry. Right. I don't care really who it is. that support is so needed in whether it's, for education, for advocacy, or, the other industry partners that we have that have helped out with BMPs, right? In the
Yep.
support of that, it's all for the betterment of what we do in stewarding the golf courses.
Yeah, that's a great point. So final thought, okay, as you work through the chairs at GCSAA, why should people be on the board? Why is it so important that people step forward either at the local level or even onto a committee? Because we've got a generation of young folks that I think we're going to have to engage. It's a different culture than it was, I think, when we were coming up. So what do we do now to convince them that it's good to get involved? What's your elevator pitch to a young turf head who's considering making that commitment?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Pat.
That's what I do, Mark. I ask great questions.
Yeah,
it's my job.
You are the man of great questions, no doubt. So for us, it's about connecting the dots with sustainability, the environment, and what we do, but also that social element as superintendent beings, if you will, that interconnection. And for us, Pat, I think it's about we're seeing a transition, and you know this just as well as I do, that transition from, hey, let's go to the meeting next month, to, hey, I'm going to tweet this out. I'm going to learn from my fellow superintendents. And that's the media, and that's the world we live in today. So from a local chapter standpoint, we should be engaging with the millennials and at their level, right? We need to engage at their level and really understand what they need. Right? Instead of just saying, here's our platter, we're going to give it to you, take it or leave it. They're going to leave it. Right. And so we just need to do that. And even from a national level, Pat, there's just so much going on in the industry, and you look at the whole labor element and why is it so difficult to hire an intern or hire an assistant golf course superintendent or a second assistant? Let's look at the labor pool and let's understand who's coming in and who's not. And for those that aren't coming in, understand why they're not, so we can really help not necessarily solve the problem, but help understand that will allow us to fill the void here.
It's interesting because it used to be we created connectivity for agronomic solutions. Hey, if I'm involved and I go to the meetings, maybe I'll find somebody who can help me figure out how to get rid of my pulp, right? And now it's, if I keep talking to people, maybe I can find somebody who can help me create a pipeline of better employees or training ideas or ways to take somebody without a college degree and move them up the ladder. So yeah, it's so important. And I really do encourage young folks just to take that step and get involved, because and there's no better networking, and so that's, something I think we've all got to do. Well, thank you. I want to give you a chance. Any final thoughts as you get a chance to talk to your colleagues around the country here this morning? And I think this will be kind of during National Golf Day that they see this. Any final thoughts about what they can do to be good stewards and good advocates for the industry?
Yeah, I kind of going back to your last question, Pat, get involved, right? Get involved at the local level, get involved at the regional level, get involved at the national level, whatever level that is. The advocacy, the environmental stewardship, and the really the stewarding of our industry and our organization, I think is so key. And just get involved, right? And that's important for all of us to keep the long-term viability of what we do up front.
And never lose track of the fact that we're a family, and we're a fraternity, a sorority, all those things all mixed up together. And I don't think we'll ever lose that. Mark, thank you so much for making time for us during this busy time. And hopefully we'll see you again soon when we come down and visit at Westfield. But in the meantime, congratulations on a great year so far, and keep up the great work.
All right. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. And thank you for your time as well. Have a great day.
Absolutely. And y'all stay tuned for more Turf Zooms from Aquatrols.